Hello, welcome to Liverpool FC Journal. I'm Owen W. James. This is your Liverpool FC news update for the 16th of November. Guys, we are still obviously a week away from real football resuming. We've still got another week of international football. Some Reds in action last night. Obviously, Andy Robertson for Scotland against Greece. Also, Alexander Isak came on as a sub for Sweden in their 4-1 defeat to Switzerland. Not the best start to Graham Potter's interim spell as the Swedish head coach. Isak getting on. I haven't seen any reports yet as at time of recording on how Alexander got on or how the game went. But interesting to see that Isak did get on and get some minutes in that game. I suppose it's useful to see him getting some minutes into those legs and trying to get his fitness back. Now we are going to talk some transfer news in this pod today. We're going to talk the latest on Konate. He has spoken. He spoke as part of the French media availability about his contract situation. Interesting to see whether Liverpool were okay with that or not. We're also going to talk about Michael Olise. We're going to talk a little bit of Mickey van der Ven. We're going to talk about Joel Ordonez, a Ecuadorian centre-back linked with a move to Liverpool. The young centre-back that I brought you the other day, the young 16-year-old who didn't look particularly 16. We talked about him the other day being a possible target for Liverpool. Denier, but he has apparently joined Chelsea or has agreed a pre-contract with Chelsea. Obviously can't move till he's 18. Not great news there to miss out on him. Hopefully, obviously not one we're going to go on to regret. But let's obviously move this discussion along a little bit. Now, a name that has been very prominent for Liverpool fans and obviously in the media is that of Michael Olise, the Bayern Munich former Crystal Palace winger. Now, look, Mo Salah is not getting any younger and his performances this season have not been great. So, it would be remiss of Liverpool to not plan for life without Mo Salah to bring in his replacement. Now, I've seen a multitude of names linked with a possible replacement for Salah, but the issue you've got is when you take a particularly world-class player out of your team or your squad, to replace him, you really can't downgrade that position. You do need to go for world class. You do need to go for an outstanding player to come in and hit the ground running and take that player's position. This is not a case of going and buying some development prospect or some could be good, very young, still learning the game kind of player to come in and replace Mo Salah. Michael Olise is a name that has been linked, and certainly it seems that he is a name that is very much linked with a move to Liverpool. He is obviously under contract to Bayern Munich, and Bayern Munich would be very, very reticent to allow him to leave. But it does seem that this is the player that Liverpool want as a replacement for Salah. Obviously, Olise is an outstanding footballer. It's been reported in a number of sources that he is the man that Liverpool have decided will be the man to replace Mo Salah. And as we saw with Florian Wirtz, Alexander Isak over the summer, when Liverpool set their mind on a player or a top-class player who they think can really come in and improve the squad, then they're going to go all out to get that player. I mean, in terms of Olise this season, he's having an absolutely outstanding season for Bayern Munich. 10 appearances in the Bundesliga, 4 goals, 4 assists. That's 8 goal contributions in total. Champions League, 4 games, 1 goal, 3 assists. So again, 4 goal contributions in 4. In the German Cup, 2 appearances, 2 goals. No German Super Cup, only 1 appearance. In the Club World Cup where Bayern were involved, he had 5 appearances there, scoring 3 goals, 2 assists, so 5 goal contributions in 5. He's averaging pretty much 1 goal contribution a game across the season. In terms of his total output this season, 22 games, 10 goals, 9 assists, 19 goal contributions in 22. You're looking at Mo Salah style numbers in a team that is full of top class players who provide a number of goals and assists. Luis Diaz, Harry Kane, for example, to name but 2. He averages a goal every 172 minutes for Bayern Munich. Like I said, Munich would be very reticent, I believe, to allow Olise to leave. He's not going to want, they're not going to want to allow him to leave on the cheap. He is a very, very, very good footballer. In terms of his contract with Bayern Munich, he is under contract with Bayern Munich until, let me just double check this figure for you. Still under contract, obviously, under contract long term with them. And they're not going to want to let him leave very, very cheap. He's under contract till 2029. So he's still got another 4 years to run on his deal. He's a player with a very high transfer market value. Transfer market currently lists his value at around 130 million euro, which is about 110, 115 million pounds. So it's going to cost a considerable amount of money to get the player away from Munich. It's going to cost, Wirtz, Isak style money to bring the player to Merseyside. And the indications appear to indicate that Liverpool would be willing to pay large amounts of money to bring Olise to Merseyside. Look, I think if there's any truth in this, it's one worth running with. Olise would be another world-class player who could come in and I think definitely replace Salah as soon as he hits the ground in England. He's played in England before as well, so you haven't got that adaptation issue that you've got with Florian Wirtz coming from the Bundesliga to England. Like I said, this is a guy who has played in England before, but a top player. Ibou Konate has been speaking about his future as well. This is what he had to say. This was at a press conference ahead of France's final World Cup qualifier. He said, "I've seen a lot of things in the press recently, like Liverpool have made me a new offer," which is what was indicated in a number of sources. L'Equipe, a number of other sources reported that Liverpool had made a final offer to Ibou Konate. He says, "I don't know where that's coming from. My agents are continuing discussions with Liverpool. I hope my decision will be made very soon so I can announce it." Look, to me, this is a double-edged message. He says that there's no new contract offer on the table, which sort of flies in the face of all those rumours saying that Liverpool were reportedly offering him £325,000 a week, which, look, I don't think for 1 minute Ibou Konate deserves. His performances this season certainly don't merit £325,000 a week. But, he talks about this no new offer. His agents are still talking to the club. No indication there that he wants to stay. At no point during that comment does he say that he's keen to stay at Liverpool, that he's keen to explore options at Liverpool, that he's keen to be part of the Liverpool squad going forward. He doesn't indicate that at any point. Now, that last sentence for me, "I hope my decision will be made very soon so I can announce it." To me, it sounds like he's already made his mind up. He knows what he wants to do. He knows where he wants to go. It's just a case of being allowed to say it. Now, what that decision is, I don't know, and I don't think we will know. I'm merely guessing, at this decision at this point, given that message that he's put out again today. I honestly believe he is set to try and leave the club, to do a Trent 2.0 and leave the club at the end of the season. If there's any truth in that, I genuinely believe Liverpool do need to basically sit down with him in January and say, "This is my contract offer. Sign it. You don't sign it, we sell you. You don't go, then we don't play you. Then see if you can then get a place in the France World Cup squad, having ridden the bench for the rest of the season. Play hardball with him. They've got to. He doesn't. We don't owe him anything. His performances this season certainly haven't led us to kind of go, he is an undroppable player, because his performances have been so poor. Yes, I think that would obviously mean the need for Liverpool to go and buy a centre-back in January, which I do think is a massive need, and to fail to buy one would be a huge mistake for me. It really genuinely would. But it's time to play hardball with Konate. Definitely is, for me, time to really push this and say to him, "Look, it's not good enough, Ibou. You sign or you go. That's the way it's got to be." Let me know your thoughts on those comments from Ibou Konate, please. One player who has been linked with the Liverpool move to Liverpool is Joel Ordonez. A number of you might say, who the hell is Joel Ordonez? He's currently with Club Brugge in Belgium. And like I said, given obviously the situation we're in with centre-backs, Konate, is he going to stay? Is he going to go? His form hasn't been great. Virgil's not getting any younger. Leone's out for the season. Gomez is unreliable. I think, there is a need to bring in this player. Now, Club Brugge, Joel Ordonez is a very, very highly rated player in Belgium. Yes, okay, it's only Belgium. He's Ecuadorian. He's been on Liverpool's radar before. So this is not a player that Liverpool have not previously looked at. And we know Liverpool do often go back to previous targets. His profile as well appears to fit the criteria that Liverpool would be looking for in a centre-half. this is what was said by a scout who watches him. It says, if you watch him, he's more of a right-sided defender, which is an area that Liverpool's opponents are really targeting at the moment, which they are. As Manchester City really did target Konate during that game, and they really did try and pick on him, and it worked for them. He's front-footed and proactive in his defending, so your one worry would be whether he can be turned by quicker players, which I suppose is something that could be a concern, that he is very much a player that plays on the front foot. This is a player who possibly could come in and be an option to come in January and supplement Liverpool's mid-defence in January. Gay is still an option, I believe. Schlotterbeck looks like he's going to Manchester United, possibly, it looks like. You're looking at others like Upamecano. Mickey van der Ven is another name that's come up. We'll talk about him in a minute. These are more options for the summer. Is Ordonez more gettable in January? It's like I discussed the other day. As much as I said that Liverpool may go full force and full all guns blazing for Gay in January, if Gay's mind is set on the fact that he doesn't want to move mid-season, is he going to move? Absolutely. His passing, obviously, Ordonez is very good as well, very accurate, very good. He's physical as well. It is something I think that that he could do. He doesn't cost an arm and a leg. He's under contract until 2029. You're looking at probably around about 35 million for the player. Which it does seem like a lot, but for a good centre half, 35 million is not a massive amount of money these days. Not when you consider the price that some are going for. But certainly an interesting name that has been linked with the club. Another name that has been more recently linked with the club, which I think would be an outstanding buy, but a difficult one to get done given that Spurs are one of Liverpool's major opponents in the Premier League, is Mickey van der Ven, who's been absolutely outstanding for Tottenham this season. He's fast, he's aggressive, he's front-footed, his passing range is good. Many people say that he is kind of the natural heir apparent to Virgil van Dijk once Virgil van Dijk retires. But this again would be a very difficult deal to get done. You're looking at probably over £100 million to bring the player in, and is there an appetite to do that? But, look, I'm greedy. I would love to see Mark Gay and Mickey van der Ven as our centre-back partnership going forward. It would be brilliant to see. Like I said, a number of people have come out and said this is the natural heir apparent. This is the guy who can really come in and make a difference for Liverpool. Look, again, a name I like, a player I like, and not a player I'd be opposed to coming into the club. But it's an interesting time, isn't it, with all these names linked. Look, I'm not saying that any of these are gospel. I don't pretend to be in the know. I'm just looking for your opinions on them. Guys, thank you for watching the Liverpool FC Journal. I'd love to get your comments. If you've enjoyed the content, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll catch you on the next one.